Good morning from the lake house. There's a lake house behind us in the background in the uplift. There's a lake house behind our good friend TC, who's been kind enough to join us to introduce Mike D. A lot of initials. There's D's, there's T's, there's C's, all of it's flying around. Mike D, who are you? What do you do? And why is it so damn important?
Yeah, I'm just a random dude, really. I've been in blockchain for a while, but I didn't really start building anything until the past year. I got on Wax like a year ago, just because my friend got me to come over for the Colonize Mars Mission 1 sale. And then, just like a month or two ago, I started building things on Wax, and basically building tools that help creators on Wax create things easier without having to learn the code.
I'm thinking Jimmy should put a NFT collection on it.
Yeah, well, I got some ideas for about like 3 different NFT collections. I just have to find time to do it. So, were you in the blockchain space before you made your way over to Wax, and what was that like, and how was that transition?
Yeah, so basically the typical cliche of like how how they say you have to hear about Bitcoin a few times before you jump into it finally. I heard about it a few times in like 2013, 2014. And then after like a year of hearing about it 3 times, I finally decided it was interesting. I made a lot of money in 2017, lost a lot of money through the bear market. Didn't really make any money this last bull market either, because I basically just bag held some, coins instead of building things. And then, I don't know, just like a couple months ago, I started looking into building just like a website to generate traffic, because I made YouTube videos and stuff. And then as I started doing that, each thing that I built just started getting a little more complex. And then eventually I was just like, I got to build stuff on the blockchain,
Yeah. Thank you. Glad you did.
I think we need to add to that cliche, because a lot of times it is like, bad, but like, yeah, I think that's a lot of people that lose more money in the bull market actually than they do in the bear, because the decisions made in the bull market. Like I lost a small fortune, honestly, because I didn't sell something because I didn't want to fuck over a community, and they fucked me over. So that's a different story. I'm here for that. But like it's interesting because we pay attention to this. Now, one of the things that TC rants and raves about, and a lot of people who are in our ecosystem, is the fact that like we're going into this kind of bear market, but NFTs on Wax, they might get a free pass. I don't know why a lot of people think this, but I can kind of see it as coming to fruition in that sense. And one of the reasons might be because of the way that the resource management works on EOS.io and Wax in particular. So for people who might not be familiar with Wax, could you dive into what you guys are doing and why the transactional things on Wax is different from other ecosystems in the space, but the problems that you guys are working to solve as well, because there are some issues with it too?
Yeah, so on a lot of different chains, especially Ethereum, which I'm sure most people are familiar with, transactions are just really expensive. And that means any transaction, right? So if you want to even just sending an NFT to somebody could cost you like 20, 30 bucks on Ethereum. So any kind of small gamified type of thing that might be good for the average user who doesn't have a lot of money, it's just not feasible on a chain like Ethereum, because if we're over here playing around with $1 each, we can't do anything on Ethereum because we don't have enough money to even cover the transaction fee, right? So Wax transactions are basically free. You do need to stake a little bit of resources, which is a whole nother topic to get into. But at the end of the day, you get everything back. So it doesn't cost you anything. It's very scalable. So it allows you to do a lot of transactions in a small period of time for not a lot of money. But the issue is there just aren't a lot of tools on Wax right now, which I find a little bit crazy, because the community it's a pretty large community. I mean, if you look at some of the brands and businesses that Wax is involved with, like MLB Tops and all those type of things, it's just pretty crazy that nobody's on here building right now. So I guess as I got some ideas and I was looking around at things to build and I saw that they hadn't been built yet, I was like, there's no way this is going to be the case a year from now, right? So I have to start building now before all these things are built by someone else, basically.
So I'm living in Japan soon. There's some really beautiful things. If you plugged into the Discord, you might see some images of me in the past or in the future of me hailing how beautiful this country is. As equally as beautiful as the backgrounds behind TC. Sorry, distraction. However, I want to tell you guys a story because this will maybe put things into perspective. I'm looking at going to one of the most beautiful man-made beaches in Japan this week or next week and spending a couple of days there. And I went into bookings.com, which is like a hotel booking site, and I found a great deal. And I booked the hotel, and then within an hour I canceled it. And the reason I canceled it was because of hidden costs. Now, this is crazy because whether I book for 1 day or whether I book for 2 days, it was probably close to $70 to $100 for a night. But what the hidden cost was this like crazy fee that was $70 to $100 for a cleanup fee, which basically doubled my price. And right away, my mind went to Ethereum. You get an NFT or you send a transaction, and there's this hidden fee that smacks you upside the head that's equal value or more to what you're actually doing, right? So I think the real world example of that is just think about this. We're kind of used to this in the real world, so I kind of get why people do that. But I know TC has his own opinions, and I'd like to hear about this from him as well. But especially in particular with you, Mike, why do you think people aren't using Wax? There are the IPs and there is the free transactional volume. What is it that is stopping people from getting into the Wax ecosystem? Is it just this too good to be true mentality? No, that can't be right. There must be some hidden fees in there. There must be some hidden complications. Why don't we have the volume that we all in this ecosystem think that we should?
So I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Well, maybe a few reasons. One of them is I think maybe just give it more time. Number two, I know some people probably aren't going to like me saying this, but even though the Wax Cloud wallet is pretty great, just the onboarding process is a little bit convoluted with the 3 different resources. I mean, that's just the way it is. That 0.1 Wax thing that they're trying to do, which is another topic, that's pretty cool though, for making people not have to learn too much about the 3 resources. And then the third reason is, it's like that snowball effect thing where money attracts money, I guess, once you get to a certain level, it's so much easier to build on that. I think a lot of people on these bigger chains like Ethereum, there's just so much money there. And that just through that fact kind of gives it a status. And I think those chains kind of look down on Wax a little bit, where nobody's, everything's so cheap and almost in a bad way, even though it's not a bad thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They look at us like we're broke or cheap or something like that because transactions are free and there's just not that much capital here at this point. But I also think that we're right at that stage, right? We got close to what, 300, 400 million during this bull market. Once you break that billion point, it's just kind of you're a serious player then. So I think during the next cycle, as this grows a little more, I don't really think that's going to be an issue anymore.
TC, what do you think? What's your take on it?
Just like everything else, Bitcoin used to be 8 cents. So no, Mike hit it on the nail. Everything he said was exactly how I feel about it. Yeah.
It's interesting, I chatted with Corey last night on our show about his experiences at NFT NYC and Jen as well, and every conference that he goes to, because there's one in Miami that happens every year as well. It kind of seems like there's people that figure out that the Uplift is on Wax and they've never even heard about it, right? They don't even know what's going on. Now, the Wax Cloud wallet, I'll give you that. It was really easy in the beginning, and it was great to have those free transactions. But now they don't do that anymore because of spam and things like that. So, I mean, there is still, the Wombat wallet that's good. But you guys essentially are, if I understand this correctly, making transaction values even cheaper than they are on Wax, right? You guys are doing something with explain to me exactly what you guys are doing, with the WaxDAO and how this is going to benefit the ecosystem overall, right? Because you're tackling some of these issues that we're facing in the ecosystem, right?
Yeah, so transaction cost as a whole on Wax, I think there might be a little bit of confusion there because that's definitely not something I'm tackling on a broader spectrum. as far like at the chain level. But we're basically building tools that allow people to, like right now, our main thing is NFT farms, where anybody can create their own farm and they can give staking rewards to people. They can create their own token on Wax and do whatever they want with that token. Works just like any other token on Wax. And basically, yeah, for those particular people, we're making things a lot cheaper because you don't have to stake 900 trillion Aether on our planet now to have staking. But yeah, as far as like transactions at the chain level, I'm definitely not working on anything like that at the current moment.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. So I guess if you were doing like DeFi on another chain, it does get quite expensive. Like I know people who are using the Wax.io network to be able to. Right, I know it's really difficult to be able to move things from one ecosystem to the other, right? So you can have a position where you're staking, Wax P tokens against Wax E tokens.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's really tedious. I get it, but to cash in on that position, to cash out on that position, or to pull in those profits, you're paying Ethereum gas fees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, depending. I mean, you said $30. $30 is kind of reasonable. That's how we've been in crypto, right? But like, you don't have to do that with EOSIO, right? Like, you don't have to pay those exorbitant fees to play around with DeFi. Now, so basically, what you guys are doing, like you said, is you're creating this NFT farm where you'll be able to stake NFTs, and then people will be able to, collect rewards on that. How does the reward structure work? And like, is this like an automatic staking, or is it more like our planet where you actually have to go in and claim these? I'm kind of curious to see how that.
So it's kind of a little bit of both. So basically, the way that it works is once a farm is already created. So if a project creates a staking pool where their users can come and stake their NFTs, somebody will basically come in with their NFT and they stake that NFT, and there's going to be an hourly reward pool. So that hourly pool is going to be set by the creator based on how much they put into the pool. It does accrue every hour, but you don't need to, it's not like a click farm. You don't need to go there every hour. It's going to build up. So the rewards get calculated hourly. Your balance will build up over time. You can claim it every hour if you want to, but you can also just come back in a month or 6 and you'll just be able to claim everything that's been built up.
So the structure of that is kind of more like what people in the UpLift world will be used to with our kind of,
exactly
NFTs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if I understand differently, the difference is, the users in a way are kind of so. Usually when we look at traditional DeFi with tokens, right, it's a little bit different than staking NFTs and getting rewards, right? Mm-hmm. I guess like if you look at something like Alcor, when you're opening up a NFT, when you're opening up a pool, right? Like you kind of set you as the initial user, you kind of set the exchange, right?
Yeah.
When we're looking at our planet, and what they did, essentially, you had to go through their vetting process to get your token listed on the exchange. What I'm understanding from you is that like you guys are kind of more along the Alcor side of things when it comes to NFTs, as opposed to like, okay, you want your project listed on our site, you actually have to come to me and then I'll decide whether you get listed or not. It kind of seems like you guys are more decentralized, more open.
Exactly. So this is available to anyone. So I would definitely advise people to know what they're getting into before they join any of these farms, by the way, because anybody can create one. Anybody can create a token on there. So, yeah, anybody can do it. There's pretty much like a $10 to $25 fee, depending what option you choose. And that's the only barrier to entry. There's nobody that needs to approve your farm or anything like that. So I don't want to use the word fully decentralized because like right now I'm still doing work on the contract and it needs to be updated here and there. So, I have access to the contract and stuff, but other than that, yeah, I would say it's decentralized.
So traditionally speaking, if you buy into these token pools, and somebody comes in and they destroy the pool, or somebody comes in and something happens, you're going to lose all your funds, right? Now, that's from a token perspective. Are there advantages or risks by doing this with NFTs, right? Like, what happens if the farm essentially gets destroyed because somebody comes in and buys it all up? I mean, we saw something really interesting in the Solana ecosystem a couple of weeks ago, I think now, where basically the quote unquote community decided that there was a big whale that wasn't paying attention to his position, and if he got liquidated, it would destroy the whole ecosystem. So they went and voted to be able to take over his account, which is ridiculous.
That's horrible. Yeah.
Right. And so we're in this weird kind of scenario now where I think a lot of these quote unquote decentralized blockchains aren't really decentralized at all. It's just a facade. Like you said, the majority of people who purport that they're decentralized probably aren't. They all own the contract, Uplift included, right? Like but the difference with the Uplift is, as a DAO, we have, this large token holder, our largest token holder, basically put a contract together, a proposal together, and vowed that he would only sell a certain percent of the tokens every year, right? So there's kind of that. It is all verifiable on chain. So at least there's that. But in terms of doing this with NFTs as opposed to tokenomics, I'll go back. What are the benefits or the disadvantages? The benefits to doing this with NFTs as opposed to tokens, right? Because like if the position goes to zero, I guess you still have the cool artwork on the front of your NFT. Like that's something that you could look at too, right? But like how does it play out differently between the tokens and the NFTs?
Yeah. So first of all, on the topic of centralization with contracts and whatnot, there are pros and cons to that. Everybody screams for decentralization until there's a customer support request. And then, like somebody messes up the name of their farm when they create it. And then all of a sudden they're very happy that I can access that and change the name of the farm. Whereas, with a fully decentralized contract, they would just lose their money and have to create a new one. But aside from that, again, it's going to vary from farm to farm. It's going to vary depending on the NFT that needs to be staked. It's going to vary depending on the reward token, the project owner. I keep trying to tell people that, I don't endorse anything that's on WaxDAO. I'm basically building tools for other people to use, and how they run their project is really up to them. So just for example, you can set when you create your farm, the IPFS images are a little slow sometimes. You can set like what schema you want to be stakeable, or what collection you want, or what templates. The risk is that, like, let's say, for example, someone creates a farm based on NFTs in a certain collection, right? And the whole collection is stakeable. Maybe there's 1,000 NFTs in that collection and the reward is X amount. There's always the risk that farm owner, the NFT project owner or creator, could now mint another template that has unlimited supply. They mint millions of them, stake them in the farm, and then they take all the rewards for themselves and dilute you. So you kind of have to, there's a little bit of a trust factor with the person who created the project, but that's basically the case for any project on any blockchain, right? At the end of the day, the person running it is the biggest risk. So, and then it's also going to come down to the reward token. Some people I've noticed are choosing to use Wax as a reward token, which I think is really awesome, because that takes away a little bit of the having to question things, I guess, because if you get Wax, at least it has some value. There's been the question of like, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing altogether as a whole? And I guess it's kind of both, right? Because people can use any token they want as rewards. So that's, of course, going to open the door for some scammers. It's going to open the door for people who create a token without thinking much about it. And then they end up kind of devaluing their project because they didn't give it any utility other than staking. But I think if a project is handled the right way, like your token really has utility, it's limited, you're not a scammer basically, and you come up with a good use case for your token, then rewarding people that token, I think, is beneficial to your collection.
You think maybe having on the person who's ever farming having a place that people like me can, write reviews about that person that's got the collection up.
One thing that I do want to add, I haven't really ironed out all the details yet, but if you were to go to the page of like a specific farm, you'll see a link to, is my screen on here anywhere? Or?
I can share it if you're ready. I can pull it up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to show anyway, but just to touch on your point, like if I go to the farms page here and I click on a specific farm right here where it says created by.
Maybe if you expand your window, we're getting.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I'm just blocking you guys. That's all. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So yeah, on here on the farm page, there it says created by. If you click on the username, there's nothing really here yet, but we've got profile pages coming soon, and I plan to allow people to
perfect,
leave comments on there and reviews and things like that. So I think that should help.
Yeah, I really like that idea, TC, and I think that almost like a Yelp type of scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
for that, right? Like it would be kind of cool. So, yeah, and I mean, I guess I like the fact that there is a small barrier to entry. It says, I think here that like it's 250 wax to set up. I lost that. 250 wax to set up a new farm, or 25,000 WoJack or burn one WoJack NFT. So that's good because it means that people actually have to have skin in the game to create it. They can't just come in and create a whole bunch of farms and then leave them defunct, or I guess they still could, but they'd have to pay for it. I wanted to ask about the staking. So when somebody sets up a farm and people contribute NFTs to that farm, where do the NFTs reside? Do they reside in the contract wallet, or are they linked through an API sort of scenario to your actual wallet that you own?
Yeah, they get sent to the contract wallet itself. I know there's other ways to go about this, but it's tough for a couple of reasons. Not to get too technical into things for those who don't understand, but contract notifications have to be set up for whatever account is, whatever contract is needing to handle transfers and stuff. So if someone owned a collection and I was trying to track who was holding it, that person could game the system by shutting off notifications to the WaxDAO contract, and I would never be able to know what transfers are happening. So they'd be able to basically get over on the contract. I guess there are other ways to go about it by querying an API, but those are not 100% reliable. It's definitely not as good as doing things on chain, in my opinion. So that's the reason I went with this, and also because I can enforce a lockup period. So that's set by the owner of the farm when they create it, but I have it set to a minimum of 1 day. So if anyone stakes in any of the farms, they have to lock up their NFT for whatever the minimum period on that farm is, but it can't be less than a day. That basically allows me to prevent double spends.
So that, and that's really important for people to know who might want to go in there and set things up. I mean, for example, in the Uplift, if you have your tokens in your wallet and registered to enter.theuplift.world, you're going to get, tiny or in some cases larger Upliftium drips to your account, which is, transferable in a sense to our in-game economy, right? Whether you use it for picture installs and stuff like that. So if someone were to set up a pool with one of those drips and people were to send their NFTs to that pool, then you would no longer get those drips, right? Now we do have postcards and other NFTs that we could send to those pools, in the same way that we do to Our Planet. Now, what's the difference really? Because Our Planet, they I think I know the answer to this, but I kind of want you to point it out, right? Our Planet went through a recent change where they
nerfed people.
Okay. Well, so they went through a recent change now where they had so much volume. I guess the way to say this is they had so much volume that instead of letting people just pull things out at will, now it kind of depends upon the size of your account to be able to get your things out, and like they degrade over time. Does that maybe TC can explain this a little bit better? But you actually now, if I go over the amount that I have, I can't get it all back, right? I have to have the amount of withdrawal out of my account on an equal par to the amount of withdrawal available. Does that make sense?
I know exactly. I saw it. I know exactly what I had a bunch of Aether at the time, so and some elements. So yeah, I know exactly what happened there. Yeah, they basically put like an hourly limit where, like, depending on how much you have, it generates a certain amount of rewards, but you can't actually withdraw them all unless you like power up and spend more. I don't know. It's like some crazy gamified thing, and I think I don't want to speak too much on other people's things and I don't know, like take shots at people, I guess.
But I didn't mean it that way, but I wanted so the reason I brought that up is like, is there anything like that like users kind of need to know about WaxDAO? Is there any kind of like quote unquote catch 22 or advantage that like, or is it just a straight up you deposit it and after the day is over, after that holding period of a day is over, you can withdraw it? Is there anything else that people need to know? Any like hidden costs, for example, or
we
don't have just the RAM fee, right? Is it RAM?
That's what I was just gonna bring up. Okay. So we don't have any like hidden costs or anything like that. We definitely don't have any weird gamified stuff like that. Right now, I have it set up. I guess this would be the thing to pay attention to probably for people. Right now, I have it set up so that you deposit a certain amount of wax. And then, so that's going to like cover your data, the RAM in the table when I store the information, but I'm not actually currently taking the user's wax and spending it on RAM. I'm basically just taking it as a deposit and then sending it back when they unstake. That's changing soon. I'm basically going to like give people an option to get all their wax refunded back. So they're not going to like lose any of their wax or anything, those people that are already in the system. But going forward, new people who stake, it's going to be designed differently where it's going to be the same concept, but basically when you stake, you're going to actually be buying RAM. And then when you unstake, you're going to be selling that RAM to get it back. So it's not like a fee that we take. We're not going to make anything off of it. But essentially, it should have been designed like this from the beginning because it's not very scalable if we're not charging people for RAM, It exposes us to the RAM price for everyone else's NFTs, and that could end up losing the contract money, so that's not good.
So, do you have any questions or comments or anything? Like, you've been kind of deep into this.
Well, I've been staking on this platform. I think, maybe how long have you been up? It's like
I just created the contract, I think 19 days ago, and
so it's been at least a week, I think.
Just started getting farms about 1 week ago.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Awesome.
It's working beautifully. I wish I was a creator because I'd be putting all kinds of stuff on there.
I know the UI can use some improvements. I'm not the greatest with design, but I'm kind of just building all the functionality right now, and I'll try and worry about that later.
And make it pretty later.
Yeah.
Just keep building. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's simple enough and it's easy, like intuitive enough. Like I haven't done anything with it, so I can only say. But like when you scroll through the side, I like the way that it's easy to find stuff. Like things aren't buried behind, photos and images, and
yeah,
it's kind of important, I think, to do that. So it's basically a single page. Like, I guess what do you have planned next? Like other than just making sure that everything's operational, is there any things that you've learned in this last half a month that you're looking at changing or improving? Any feedback that like users have mentioned that like you can do better on, or you're looking to do better on, anything like that?
Yeah. So right now the main focus, and I should be wrapping this up within the next couple of days, would be the RAM thing I just brought up. It's all about resource management, really. So cleaning up the code and making sure everything's very efficient. I just cut down the CPU costs by about like 90+% the other day, and looking to improve the RAM efficiency a lot as well. Once those things are done, then I can worry about building new stuff and adding features. There's a lot of features people have asked for in terms of just ways they can set up their farm a little bit differently, like different options for excluding templates that are stakeable or including things and all kinds of stuff like that. We also have DAOs coming, so anyone's going to be able to create their own DAO. That's coming soon. And I got some other things in the work as well, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself yet.
Yeah, scan wallet tool would be nice.
Yeah, so you mean like the scan? I think you brought this up the other day. You want to see like everything that's stakeable on the entire WaxDAO platform?
No,
Is that
no,
what
I
you?
want to see. No, I want to see what's stakeable on my wallet. Like if you've got.
But I mean, like in your wallet for the whole platform, or
Yeah.
like for a specific.
No,
Yeah.
So whatever's on your platform, if that scans my wallet and says, "Oh, you've got some of these, you got some of these, you want to stake them."
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should definitely look into
Because
adding that as well.
I mean,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like if you could just plug in. So BluDAC actually does something similar to that, right? Like when you go into the BluDAC interface, it reads what tokens are in your wallet, what LPs are there, and then it tells you the amount that you have, and you can just go in and you can just like click a button and then you can stake them, right? So I think that would be like, that's a great idea if you can figure out how to do that. Whereas I connect my wallet, right? Like, cause it's wallet connectable, right? It's not one user, it's per wallet, right? So I could potentially connect a couple different wallets, but it does get confusing at times. So if I could just go in and I could click on the button, it says, look, these are the ones that you have in your wallet and they're not staked, and if you want to stake them, click a button and you can do that, right? Or like, these are the ones that you have in their wallet and no pools exist, right? You could create a pool for those. Like, I think that's a really good suggestion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, make it really simple.
Yeah, like right now I have it set up on the individual farm pages where you can see all the NFTs that are stakeable. I do need to actually like filter those a little better too. It's just been getting complicated because I started off with a farm was based on like one single schema. So all I had to do was pull up the NFTs that you had in that schema. Now with all these different crazy filtering options that people have been asking for, it's just more API calls, more filtering on the front end. It's doable though. It's definitely doable. It's just I need to sit down and do it.
Now, when it comes to rewards, like I like the fact that you said like people can get the rewards in Wax. Now, how are the rewards structured? Like, can people plug in any reward they want, or like can they plug in any token on the Wax blockchain that they want, or is there an option to plug in like rewards as NFTs?
So that's actually an option. The NFT one, that's one of the things I want to roll out relatively soon. I don't have an exact date for that, but that's definitely in the plans. As far as tokens, yeah, when you create the farm, when you first set it up, you can choose any token on the Wax blockchain as a reward token. You can only choose one, and you have to like stick with that one once you have the farm created. So you can't change it or do like multiple tokens in one pool. But once you have the farm created, you can just deposit rewards in any token that you want, whatever you selected. So that could be Wax, it could be Aether, it could be Upliftium or whatever. Is that even a token now? I don't remember. Upliftium.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lithium. There's lithium token. Upliftium is the
I remember when the cards first came out or whatever for the million, whatever. Anyway, yeah, and also I also have the token generator on the site. So if somebody wants to like create a token, they can do that right on the site and then reward people with that token in the farm. I don't really suggest doing that if you don't have a use case for the token though, because there's no point in making useless tokens.
Yeah, for sure.
That's very cool. Yeah. So yeah, I like that. And like, so the amount of the other one I kind of wanted to ask as well is, traditionally, if you lock something up, the longer that you lock something up, the better rate you'll get, right? So, like, I'm curious about that. Is it like, let's say, as a staker, I wanted to go in there and I wanted to lock my NFTs up in this pool for 6 months or a year. Now, if I wanted to, there's really no incentive for me to do it longer than a week, to be honest, and then just keep doing it over and over and over again if the rewards are always going to be the same. But like, as the person who's creating this this pool, would it be possible to say, look, the longer I lock it up, the better my rewards are going to be, or will they always be a set reward for that token based on that pool?
So the way that it works right now is that however much rewards you deposit, and you can deposit as much or as little as you want. So let's just say you deposited 1,000 wax and you set the pool to expire, because you can put an expiration date on it. You set it to expire in, let's say, I don't know, 100 days. If you put 1,000 wax in for 100 days, it's going to be divided equally amongst that entire time period. So it would be 10 wax a day. And then that's going to be split up among the amount of hours in a day, and then by the amount of NFTs in the pool. Essentially, it's a static amount. It can get lower as more people stake, though, because it's a shared pool model. But what I would recommend if somebody wanted to do something like that, and this is actually what I plan on doing with my project as well, I'm just going to have like a couple different farms. So I'll have like a 30-day farm, a 1-day farm, and a 90-day farm. And if you stake in the longer one, it's just going to have a bigger pool. Yeah, I mean, the barrier to entry is it's $10 to create a farm, essentially. So I don't think that's unreasonable to create different pools if you wanted to have different options like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I never actually thought about it from that perspective. That makes a lot more sense. It's probably easier from a tracking perspective on everyone's end too. So.
Yeah, I think, to try and weight things based on time and then combine it with like the existing model would be, I think it would be easier for like an individual project like myself if I wanted to do that for my token, because I know I'm in control of the total supply and stuff. But if someone has like a limited size in the pool, it's really tough to, I don't even know how I would go about the math.
No, I think you answered that question brilliantly. Like, it's perfect, right? Like and there's a play there too, right? Because you could have a small farm, like a short farm, a long-term farm, and a medium-term farm, and depending upon how many people are in the pool, would depend on where people would want to allocate their resources. Like, right, if everyone realizes that, like, oh, wait a minute, like nobody's in this 1-day pool, and it's only TC, and then everyone piles in. If TC's also got a position in the 6-month pool, then when they move out of that, and it creates this kind of balance, which is really cool too. Speaking of uplifting, let's go put some gratitudes up. This is my new little project. I'm teaching myself how to build TC.
It looks really good.
Yeah, these are my little my little Japanese 1-room bungalow builds.
Looks great. Great.
So this is like kind of the gratitude rail central kind of area. So I gotta find that monument, wherever it is, because it's way over here by this temple. It's really fun building. So you, Mike, were talking about your own personal project, and I don't think you've introduced this. Maybe while I wander over here to the board where we're going to put up the gratitudes, you can tell us about that.
Yeah, so WaxDAO itself kind of is the project. Basically, when I first started creating a PFP project like a couple of months ago, I just took these Wojaks and I made like a PFP project out of it with 10,000 Wojaks. I didn't really know where I was going to go with it, right? I just knew that I wanted to add utility to it, but I didn't really like WaxDAO wasn't even really a thought in my mind at that point. So yeah, now that everything is where it is, I kind of wish I didn't choose something that was like goofy and cartoony like that. I wish I would have went with something more serious. But at the end of the day, they have the same utility, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it could be a blank image. People are buying these NFTs just to burn them, like immediately after they buy them. So I would say we got something in our hands when people are buying them just to burn them. But yeah, anyway, 10,000 PFPs, you can burn them to create a farm or to create a token on the site. They'll be usable for our other products that we have coming out soon. They're also stakeable for the Wojak token, which is a token that we created on Wax, and that token is also going to be able to be used in all these products as well. So yeah, I think it builds a little bit of gamification in there as well, because as the 10,000 NFTs get burned more and more, and they can be staked in these pools, people are going to have to start figuring out whether it's worth it to burn the NFT or to try and earn the token, which can also be used for the project products. So Yeah, I don't know. We've burned like 0.3, 0.4% of the supply already in the first week of NFTs. So it's going pretty well so far.
Cool. What are you grateful for, Mike?
I'm grateful for the wax community. Honestly, I'm sure you probably get that a lot on here. It probably sounds corny, but yeah, I really am, man. It's just like I could not have envisioned that things were going to be going this well so fast, and that everyone was going to be so supportive and helpful. You know, a couple of weeks ago, just like a couple of weeks back, when I was trying to get my project off the ground and nobody was paying attention, I was starting to get a bit salty and question myself and like wonder if I was on the right track or not. And then just like a couple people started reaching out and just even just like buying one NFT or not buying anything and just saying like, yo, good job, man. That stuff means a lot. And it helped me get to where I'm at now. So I really can't thank all these people enough, including you, NTC.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, man. TC is one of the most underrated people in the ecosystem. If you need answers to anything that's in Wax, ask him because he probably knows more so than some of us that are here every day. What are you grateful for, TC?
I'm actually grateful for Mike. I'm grateful that he's brought this things that he do, these projects, this platform. So yeah, TC's grateful for Mike and his WaxDAO.
Thanks, TC. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, I think you're doing a good thing. Perfect.
So
the boss is speaking again.
Yeah. So sorry. One last thing that I wanted to ask is how does the DAO aspect factor into this?
How does it factor? Like, I'm sorry. Can you ask one more time? I didn't hear the last part of that. How does the DAO aspect factor into just the project in general? Is that what you're saying? Well, pretty much it's going to be like the token and the NFTs will be able to be used in the same manner, so people can burn them to create their own DAO. How the DAO works is just going to be basically you create your own DAO. Your holders can vote on stuff, and you can choose whether they hold whether NFTs give voting power or whether holding a certain token gives voting power. There's also going to be other options involved, like a treasury, for example, which you don't have to use, but I plan on building in a thing where there could be like a DAO treasury for each project, and they can, let's say that treasury is holding NFTs or something. All the people in the DAO can vote on, like they can choose a transaction type. So you can set it to like a regular transaction where you're just like voting on, I don't know, should we partner with this project or whatever. Or there will be an option to do like a transaction type of vote where you would choose, or like, yeah, basically choose a wallet that you want to send a specific amount of whatever to that's from the DAO treasury. And then all the people in the DAO can vote on that transaction. Do we want to approve this or not? And if they all approve it, then it would be auto executed to transfer that NFT or that token or whatever to a different wallet.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. So,
yeah.
Again, like this is kind of new. So, like, if people have any suggestions or any questions, how can they? What's the best way to get into contact with you? I mean, I think you're being a little bit too hard on yourself, honestly. Like, I'm just scrolling through the page right now, and like, honestly, I think that there's like, other than it's just like a basic interface, which I kind of like. There's really nothing wrong that I can see with the UI, right? Like, but like, I mean, we don't need everything to be flashy. Sometimes the flash buries the actual usability of
also
something.
remember, a lot of people don't have fast internet, so not having
That's true.
crazy, GUI is good.
The example that I keep bringing up to people is Curve Finance. If they can do what they've done with their website, I don't think we're in a bad place here.
No.
Yeah, right. And I think like usability and utility is way more important than a bunch of things that are just not
Flashy.
flashy. Now what's the best way for people to get in contact with you? Like, is it Telegram?
Yeah, Telegram. It's right on the site, right at the top of WaxDAO. There's a big button that says Telegram.
Okay, great. Cool. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Like, I'm excited to have you. I want to have you back soon because I want to see how this kind of progresses. Like in the next couple of weeks, if you've got this much, created already, once more and more people learn about this and they start interacting with these pools, I would expect things to really explode, right? And like if you're in the bear market and you're sitting on NFTs and they have no use case, I mean, honestly, my non-financial opinion or advice would be to figure out a way to use them and add some utility to them, whether you're a project or whether you're a hodler, because as we all know, like some pretty amazing staking projects from NFTs came out of the last bear market, and when they came to fruition, in the mini bull run that we had not so long ago, that's when a lot of people were able to take some funds and diversify into other ecosystems.
And I have to say, he has fantastic how-to videos.
Thank you.
Teaches
I need
you,
to
it's so
update
easy
those.
to understand.
I know I need a new one for the token generator because the old one's outdated. I redid the whole interface. The info is still relevant, but we to your point about the growth, we went from 0 farms like literally a week ago. Broken Dolls was the first project on there. He made the first farm, and we have 29 now. I think a week later, we've also had like 10 people use the token generator. It's like 500 users that are staking on the platform already. So it's been amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to see where it goes in a couple of weeks.
The Broken Dolls are breaking barriers when it comes to being
totally
first. They're that's the second platform I've heard them being the first upon. So are you planning on expanding to any other chains, or are you guys more like NFT Blocks in the early days? We just want to do this on Wax and
I don't know. I'm not against it. I looked at Proton just because I knew that NFT Blocks was going to build on there. It would be nice to move. I don't know. I don't want to be on chains where everyone's already doing everything I want to do. Like, I'm here because this just seems like the perfect place to be right now. Like, it's big, and Wax is big enough where there's like so many people on it. How do I put this? It's big enough where I looked around, and when I saw that the things that I want to be building aren't built yet, I was like, something's wrong here, that this stuff is not built yet. Like, I know 6 months to a year from now, this opportunity will not be here. Right. Like, Wax, to me, Wax is the place to be right now.
Yep, smart move.
So definitely go check it out. I haven't actually watched the tutorial videos, but I'm gonna go do that. Because if they come highly recommended from TC, then it must be worth their salt. And play around with it. And I want to do maybe the next time you come on, Mike, maybe we can have you back in a week or two, and we can actually go through the process of setting up a pool so that people.
That would be awesome. Yeah, it takes like 2 minutes. It's really easy.
And then we can follow that up with, if people have any questions, we can almost do like an AMA. And people can ask any questions about the user interface or where to find certain things, if you're interested in doing that. So definitely, if you have any questions, like, feel free to ping Mike. But I think like it's useful, go to the facts section in the website. There's a lot of that's there. But maybe we can do a walkthrough even on this channel at some point. So if there's anything else that you guys would like to leave us with, I'll let TC get back to
collecting his rewards and might get back to building something that the ecosystem definitely needs.
Yes, for me, basically just thank you for having me on, and I'm definitely open to coming back on in a couple of weeks if you want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it.
I kind of feel like you're welcome, as much whenever you want to come on and update us or just say hello, because this was really informative, and thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
totally. Thank you for coming.
WaxDAO to the moon.